Hello and happy Tuesday. I'm Katie Sevenance, and thank you for joining us here on Business by Design Online. We are your entrepreneurial education hub for women in business. Today we have three special guests, as you can see. We are going to be chatting about some topics this month, focusing on back to school, back to work, and back to the basics. So today we have three educators who I am so excited to get to meet because I do not know them, but they have just shared a few little tidbits with me that have me very intrigued. So today I want you to meet our special guests, Candice Duger. Now,
Kim Glanowski. It showed up incorrectly. It's a business name that I have, and I couldn't change it. So I'm Kim Glanowski. So nice to meet you.
That's funny. I didn't even notice until I went to introduce you. And I'm like, wait, that's not the name I had. That's okay. That's good. We'll make sure we put that in the comments. And Barb. And so I'm so excited for you guys to be here and share with us a little. Who would like to go first and tell us a little bit about what you guys are doing together?
I'd be glad to go first, Katie, since we've known each other for quite a while. And I am an educator online. And I work specifically with families and children on teaching them business, teaching them financial education, and children how to start their own businesses. And I was able to meet Candice online through teaching her children. And when we found that we have so many things in common, and my background as a former classroom educator, we decided to keep talking, and since then we're now working together. And she introduced me. And Candice, if you want to go ahead and tell everybody more, and then how you and Kim started working together, that'd be awesome.
Yes, I actually met Barb through some wonderful classes. I homeschool my children. I've actually had my children in public school and private school, and now we telecommute our education, and it has been the best fit for us. And I outsource almost all my classes for parents out there who are wondering, how do we do this? I hardly teach. I teach what I love, like entrepreneurial and speaking skills and things, but I hire great teachers like Barb who teach sports nutrition, because one of my sons is a football player and athlete. And then we do entrepreneurial classes. So I CEO classes and finance classes that they take with Barb, and that's how we met each other. And I have two businesses that I run. One is Bullied, Broken, Redeemed, which is how I came into homeschooling. There was severe damage done to my children in the public school system. There was no help. We were dealing with mental health, lots of concerns, and ended up leaving to come to a telecommuting education plan, and my kids just thrived. I mean, took off like you could not believe. Once I took off the constraints of what education should look like, they just exploded. And I've really taught them, how do they take ownership of their education? How can they be a big part of the business plan of creating their future? And then my job is to match them up with amazing teachers like Barb. And then through that of helping kids, Kim and I founded Reimagine Education Conference, where we teach families, and we've been doing this for years, how can they come up with telecommuting an education plan that's right for their family. And so we bring in experts from all over the world and put together events to teach other families, how can they do this in these transition times. So Kim, do you want to tell everybody a little bit about that platform?
Yes, Reimagine Education Conference started several years ago, and we've been based out of Washington, D.C. And Washington, D.C. is such a great hub because people from all over the United States have come to our conference, and our heart has really been for those families in the public school system who it's not working for them for one reason or another, because it's not a one-size-fits-all solution. And we help them transition to public, private, or our favorite at Reimagine Education Conference is outsourcing, where you choose the best education opportunities for your children. And we've just helped these parents for years now. And then when COVID shut down our conference, we decided to go online. And so we have 130 talks with 70 speakers that are internationally recognized. But our favorite thing about it is that we were used to families flying in to talk with us and to be mentored by us. But now we're getting international families. So we love that we have families in Africa and Indonesia and Philippines and India and tons in Canada. So it's so neat that something that we started small years ago and we've just been working and helping families has now blossomed into something that the world needs. You know, who would have thought that the world would have needed what we offer a couple years ago? And our favorite topic with Reimagine Education Conference is when we see parents who are struggling, children who are depressed, they're anxious, they don't know what to do, families who think, I don't have the qualifications to do this. And we just guide them. We help them. Candice has such beautiful insights to ways to help children. I have a huge heart for every child who comes my way, and we help the parents to make it work. We help them to find those opportunities like Barb. We help them to figure out how to help their children who are struggling. And in the end of the year, we always tell them, write down how you feel now, because at the end of this year, you're going to say, this was my best year ever, because you will have grown so much as a family.
You know, I have some questions because that's really, I love what you guys are doing. I think in the way I grew up, public school, that's what you did, or you went to a private school, but you didn't even think about the options that were out there. And I used to think it was only for kids who, you know, maybe needed extra help or who were exceeding or, you know, but I love the idea of just reimagining it. I'm an entrepreneur. I've been that for my whole life, always trying something new and different and on my own. And I love that you can cater it to whatever their needs are instead of just here's the curriculum. But like you said, Candice, researching, finding educators who can help customize that path for someone.
So, well, let's break it down. When I was growing up, I was born in the 70s. And when I went to school, started homeschooling was illegal in many states. And so if we really break down why we haven't taken this leap into education is it wasn't legal and people were always worried about the socialization. Well, I can understand why now that I'm over here, because those families feared being arrested or put in jail if they took this. So they did keep their children away from the sight of the law, or they were really sometimes more extremist in religious views or different reasons for homeschooling in the early 80s when homeschooling became legal. And I will tell you, the pioneers who fought, I will 100% stand here and tell you, I have my son today because of the people who fought for my right to homeschool. Public education was draining the life out of my child. And now I work with children 7, 8, and 9 with suicide plans. I am so grateful for the pioneers who fought for my right as a parent to make that choice. There are no words, almost. Like, I'm always in awe of when I meet people who've done it for 30 years. I'm like, thank you for fighting that I can make this choice. And now we sit here and we have plans that, you know, I'd say really the last decade, it's exploded, and it's really technology. I mean, back in the 80s, I don't know if a parent, I'm just being really honest, many of us could not have telecommuted our jobs back in that time. It's technology advancements that have allowed us to have businesses to work from home. We don't have to get into a car and go to a business. We can do it from home. And the same thing with education. It's time to transition, getting on a bus and going to a building. And COVID has launched that forward, but we're still a little bit in the mindset of this 8 to 3, right? Or 8 to 2, this long day that really might not be the best plan for your child. That might not be how they tick. That might not be how they're wired, just as all of us as entrepreneurs sometimes have a way that we run our businesses best. So if we can help identify that for a family, especially as a working parent, my husband and I, you know, I run 2 businesses, plus he owns a business. We're very busy working parents. We normally are traveling in conferences, speaking. How can we do that and make our kids' education work? Many parents are getting ready to find that it's extremely difficult in bandwidth. If you're going to have 3 or 4 kids at the house logged into distant learning, trying to learn while you're trying to do what we're doing here, you're going to wreck your ship. You are going to have bandwidth crashes. You are going to have frustration. You are going to have, I mean, I know for our family, we can have 2.5 people doing this at a time on a business account, and then we're just going south. So I even need to plan out my classes for my children around my business. And these are all things, when you take control of your children's education and outsourcing classes, you can do what's best. One of my children learned best at night, so I let him take live classes in Australia Because he's a night owl. He is not interested in 7 o'clock anything.
I like that because we know one of the things we teach in one of our courses is finding your rhythm. Are you more creative in the mornings or the evenings? So same thing for our kids, to be able to accommodate their own personality styles. I think that's awesome. Is there like what guidelines, where do you find the guidelines on what your kids need to know to be able to go on and graduate each level? I mean, I'm sure that information is out there that you help parents to find what they need to incorporate into their class. Because shoot, I would want to take all the fun classes.
So Candice and I have a mentoring program where we walk parents through step by step exactly what they need. There are also state homeschool organizations that have that information. But at our conference and when you talk to us, we love to, we do know what children need for each grade level, but we love to figure out the children's passions. So if math, for example, is really difficult for a child, we might say, that might need to be a live Zoom class with a teacher who's really engaged with that child. One of my daughters loves science. She's 12 and she's already in like way high senior level high school science classes. But she does those online, and she loves a program that we talk to parents about. And it's got like, she'll watch these videos of these mitochondria doing stuff, and I'm like, okay. And she'll just talk about it all day, and she just thrives in that atmosphere. But it's child dependent, and that's what the beauty is that we can help find the exact right matches for each child. And like Barb's classes are absolutely phenomenal. Candice and I use a Spanish teacher who is an American university trained teacher in Venezuela who's Venezuelan. And so she'll do pictures of outside on the streets for us. She does so many neat extra things in Venezuela with our kids. There are just so many options that we have, but we tailor each type of education to the child. And then for the days, like Candice mentioned about bandwidth, we do it, we are really into the rhythm, like you were talking about. We're very much into figuring out your family's rhythm, not just the parent or the children. And so like for many of our parents, they find waking up early and letting their children sleep in works for them because they get a chunk of really great quality time.
I do it.
Yeah, I do it.
I run my school.
My kids sleep in until 10 o'clock. But when they're ready to work, they know their schedule. We have it laid out for them. They know what they're going to do. And they get all of their school and sometimes much more done. My 14-year-old son just came to me yesterday, and he had snuck in an extra engineering program and was in the middle of it. And I'm like, where did you come from? And he's like, it's actually really cool. I didn't know if you would think it was too much, so I was kind of doing it on the down low. And I'm like, you don't do engineering on the down low. But yeah, apparently you do. Okay. But it's because that's what he loves.
Right. Wow. It's what you love and you're passionate about. And Barb is creating some amazing products and helping. And Barb, I really would love for you to share where you're going with teachers. And as our world is transitioning, we need more resources in teachers online that have the confidence. Guys, my heart goes out to teachers. Honestly, I may have picked a different transition and plan for my kids, but we need amazing teachers and teachers that spark interest. And teachers teaching in person and teaching online, it's not the same thing. It is a different skill set. And giving teachers the skills to be able to engage no matter where they are in their children's academic plan, from dealing with behavior and classroom management and parents, and how are you going to handle screen time issues. Barb is creating some amazing content through teleeducation with training teachers and equipping them of how to create their own classes to be able to do that. So Barb, can you share that? Because I want to make sure we get that in. I mean, you've got amazing stuff.
I love that, because I would think that teachers, you can't just go from teaching in a classroom to teaching online. There are different things. And that's where that struggle was last spring. We felt it with the kids totally losing interest because you can't teach the same way online as you would in person. So I definitely would love to hear what you're doing, Barb.
One of the biggest things is I'm equipping teachers, and colleges and universities are teaching teachers, but they're teaching teachers their subject matter. They're not teaching behavioral management. They're not teaching how to teach now, even online. And with my experiences, I started teaching online and I started distance learning teaching back in the early 1990s. And knowing how to do something on screen versus doing it in the classroom. The biggest thing that teachers don't have access to on screen is some of the behavioral management techniques that we're able to use in a live classroom. But here we're live on screen. I can't go and I can't walk next to the student's desk on screen. But there are so many things that we can do on screen that we're able to go ahead and share that with teachers, but also with parents. Mm-hmm. A lot of parents who own businesses that are running their business from home and now educating their children from home. What and how can you set up your business and your classroom environment in the home that is on screen? And like Candice and Kim have already mentioned, how much bandwidth does your internet provider have? Mm. And if your internet provider doesn't have enough bandwidth for you, or that you don't have that type of program in the house, how are you going to deal with your child being on screen at home? How are you going to deal with you being on screen at home? And one of the biggest takeaways that I give to parents and families today is to create a whiteboard that has everybody's schedule for the week. Online whiteboard, offline whiteboard, online classes, online meetings. Mom and dad need to be children need to be quiet while mom and dad are in a business meeting. Mm-hmm. Or how a tip and a trick that I often give: when you have pets at home, how do you keep your pet quiet while you're in a Zoom or while you're on a live conference call or something like that?
Not special delivery, and they go crazy at the door. Yeah.
But those are tips and tricks that I've created and I've set up, not only for my teachers online, but how to help business owners to pivot to that online environment, because so many people don't have their schedule. They don't have a note that they put at the front door for please leave the package at the front door without knocking on the door or ringing the doorbell. Right. I have a sign that I post that says live online, do not disturb. Mm-hmm. And just like you go to a television studio, I have my studio here in home, but at the same time I have my in-home studio. Everybody around the environment knows I'm live. Mm-hmm. They don't come in, they don't bother me, and we go from there.
Well, and as Barb was saying, I will tell you, as a working parent, my husband and I both, we use a scheduling system. I can tell you every Thursday at 1:00, I'm going to have to leave my house. And this is just real world, guys. Here's how it gets real. I have to leave my house, drive far enough away that I'm not connected to my internet, go on a hotspot on my phone because it won't work in my house, set either myself up or my son to run this extra class. We all have this schedule conflict, and it's just the reality. It's not something that I could choose not to have this class for my son, but it's very important and he loves it. And my husband has a business meeting that he cannot change. And I have a meeting that's important to a client. That's the only way we can make it work. And so somebody had to make the sacrifice, right? So it's get in the car physically, drive far enough away that we're not on the Wi-Fi in the house, turn on the hotspot, and then we can run the meeting. And that's just the reality sometimes of being working from home parent. But you have to think through that. And if you're setting yourself up in a schedule that you're going to have to do that consistently, you're going to burn out. So you need to use whiteboards or using scheduling tips to know what sacrifices you're willing to make it work.
One of my favorite.
Sorry, go ahead.
One of my favorite tips for little children is to have your Alexa schedule for you. And because kids cannot argue with Alexa, especially the little ones. So, because who are you going to argue with? You know, like, who's there? And so they'll actually do it. So you can set up Alexa to, it's time to brush your teeth. It's time to start
a nap.
It's time to pick up. And kids will actually do it. And it's amazing. It's like, woo, you never knew it'd be that good. And then I talk on, at the conference, I talk on ways to bin up the toys so that the kids have something to look forward to. I have ways to have quiet time with all of the kids, all of that kind of stuff. So we definitely have techniques and pro tips for parents. But the Alexa is our favorite.
Yeah. And so setting up your space.
They'll be
right. Setting
with Alexa, right? Because
say that again.
They'll be scarred for life with Alexa. They're going to be like, oh my God, 20 years old going, oh, where is that coming from?
Well, and it's also important as parents are talking about their space. You guys, we're broadcasting here today. I'm in my office, and I don't want to move around too much, but because you'll see my work, but there's a couch behind me. There's a desk back there. When we're in here working, each child has a station. I'm here at my desk. One has a pull-out and one loves to work on the couch. Each has a set of headphones. Each has a computer board. I'm here and available if they need it, but I'm working. Headphones in, get your stuff done, guys. Get it done. Mom's accessible if you need it. We don't use traditional desk. It is not set up like school. Many times they're on yoga balls. They're rolling on the floor. The head's off the couch. I don't care. Get it done is my answer. Mm-hmm. But if they need me, I'm around. And thinking through as you guys are setting up your school year with your children, when my kids need to leave because I'm here, right? Each has a box and it's sort of their new backpack. It has a box with every school supply in it. And at the end of the day, we charge our laptops, our headphones, and everything gets charged in because you are going to replace where's my lunch bunch, where's my backpack, where are my shoes with where's my headphones, can't find my computer, where's my charger. Mm-hmm. So you're going to replace issues that from outschooling to what happens when you're educating in the home. Having them that they can grab a box and go to another place when I'm in a meeting, they still take school with them. If we're having a bad day and we have run the rails off, sometimes we'll take the box and put it in the car and go out to a park. And we're having school outside, guys. Grab it with you. It is our on-the-go education plan. We travel a lot as a family for our business and for work. That box goes in the car. It goes with us. It is like the movable car school, vacation, wherever it goes, they have the resources available and ready. And you can move in a flow of life that is adaptable to your work environment. And for many of you.
Light bulb. That is so awesome because as an entrepreneur, that's why we're an entrepreneur, right? We want to be able to have flexibility with our schedule and where we work and when we work. How awesome to be able to teach our kids that they can still get their work done wherever they are, keeping it all together and learn on the go. And it's just a whole different mindset instead of, you have to do these exact things, but to be able to branch out and take what interests you and how you learn. And I love the idea. I think it's a totally different thing. And I really hope we can reach more families to show them that there are amazing alternatives that do not require you to be the teacher all the time, right?
That's one of the beautiful things that we have as adults and as parents. We're able to teach our children what they want to learn. Mm-hmm. We know that we need to teach them some of what they need to learn. But when we empower our children to be the guide, the young CEO, the chief executive officer of their own business. I have a special class that's called the Young CEO, the Teen and Tween CEO, because every one of our children is the CEO of their own lives. And I always start that class by saying, do you remember when your older brother or sister or a friend told you, would you mind your own business? They're absolutely right, because our business is our life. Mm-hmm. And when we empower our youth and our children to be able to know they are the CEO. Mom might be the CEO of her own business, running it here in the house. But child is the CEO of their own business, running their life, their school, all their responsibilities here in the classroom, in life, in the house.
I want every single kid I know to take that class.
Barb's classes are fantastic.
It's available. And here's the beautiful part. We told you about Reimagine Education and our conference. That was one of the classes there. I normally charge one of price for that. But for little more than that, you get our entire conference.
Mm-hmm.
And that class is in the conference.
Mm-hmm.
And I teach about the responsibility. I teach young people about the mindset. All of us are business owners.
Mm-hmm.
All of our audience here are typically business owners.
Mm-hmm.
What we need to do is learn how to be a better business owner. That's what I teach our young people starting at age 6, 7, 8, 9 years old, to be their own business owner. And I deal with mindset. I deal with responsibility. I deal with communication, child communication and parent communication. You want to run a business out of the house, you have to know how to communicate with your children, and you have to do it well. But the flip side is the children need to communicate with mom and dad too. And do it well. And that's what I teach, but that's what our young entrepreneurs and our business owners here need to learn to be able to do. And as we pivot in these changing times with education, most parents will run their business while the kids are at school. Now the kids might not be at school. For the past 8 months, they haven't been in school. And now they don't know what and where to turn. And the alternatives, parents, empower yourselves for your child's education. Too often, I see too many parents putting the responsibility on the children, and the schools. Well, you're supposed to be teaching my child that. It starts at home. And the beautiful part is when we empower our children to learn at home, we're empowering ourselves to own our own business from home. Teach our children the same thing.
And I love that. That's so really, I think this is such an awakening. And I know you guys have been reaching parents for a while now. I think it takes the pressure off. I know a lot of friends that I know that are running businesses from home are fearing what's going to happen in another month because they don't know how to manage being able to still get some work done, bring some income in, and have their kids at home because they don't know what to do. Mm-hmm. So you guys have some amazing systems. Where can people find more about learning this themselves? Do you have a website? Do you have a Facebook? What's a good place?
The material that I sent to you, Katie, and the link that we have can link to everything we do at Reimagine Education and our teleeducation.
So
we can post it below.
It's important for parents to realize that we're Reimagine Education Conference. We've been that for a number of years now, and suddenly Bill Gates and Andrew Cuomo used our words, and so they liked our ideas apparently, which we're flattered by. But it is Reimagine Education Conference because otherwise it's more difficult to find us. So if they look up reimagineeducationconference.com, and then Barb sent a link.
We can put that in below. And you guys can find everything about our mentoring programs, our one-to-one coaching. As owning a business, you don't spend hours upon hours upon hours just sitting out there on the internet. You hire coaches. When you need to get stuff done and you're ready to take things to the next level, you bring somebody on. And for a very reasonable amount of money, you can bring somebody on, spend an hour with them, and get an educational expert who can point you in the right direction of, you need a live class for this, I'm suggesting this, here's an idea of schedules, and somebody to give you perspective on what education should look like. Most people do not realize that even educating my high schooler today, guys, and that's with college classes. Little kids under 3rd grade, you're looking at 90 minutes of real education. The rest you have to really figure out, what are you going to do with your day in daycare and play, and what does that other part of childcare look like? But the academic piece is not what we've been trained to believe is this 8 to 3. You're not educating 25 kids. You're not catching everyone up. It's very short, and in many cases, it's 2 hours a day, which is why working parents can do it after working on the weekends. When my schedule is very busy, you will find me teaching my kids at night. Like if we're catching up or they're doing things, 7 to 9, we'll catch up, and we'll really pile on the weekends or other times, or on days that I'm not as much. It can be flexible. It's all in just helping them at their own pace and the flexibility for a family.
And I think that, most importantly, this is a hard year for many parents. And And we hear you. And we've been doing this for years, and we love helping parents. We love working with children, and we love seeing them say, this was my best year ever. And it's scary as all get out right now. And it seems so intimidating, but you got a team, and we would be so honored to walk with you through this journey.
I love that. I am so excited to learn more. I wish my kids were younger. No, I don't. Did I even say that out loud? But
like, you really want to go back now?
No, but what a great opportunity for families to look at things differently, to be able to incorporate it in. We're all learning how we're going to work differently, and to be able to do this with our kids in a positive environment where they're taking ownership. They feel a little more like they get to determine when and where and how and work it into the family schedule. I love it. And I have a whiteboard. I'm getting it out. We've been using Google Calendar, but we're going to use the whiteboard. We did early on have to go, no more TV stuff during the day because we're working, no more, you have to figure that part out. But you guys have shared some really great tips with us today. I appreciate it. That was so awesome. And look how fun it was to have all four of us on here at the same time. I love it. I would love it if you would post after this where people can connect with you, the best ways that they can connect with you, and anything else you want to add to that. Just leave it there in the comments, and we will also share this on our YouTube channel so that it's there for people to learn more about what you three offer. Tune in later this week, because what do we have? This whole month is focused on back to school, back to business, back to basics. And we have a guest, Connie Kircher, who is a business expert, and she's going to help us with some business tips on Friday. So thank you all so much. I really appreciate it. It was really fun to get to meet you both. I hope I run into you again sometime.
Yeah, so good to meet you. Thank you.
Thanks, care. Katie. Bye.